22nd letter. Let's go. Look, so good. Volatile is. They say can you just who?
The craft brewing industry contributed $76.2 billion to the U.S. economy in 2017 and created more than 500,000 jobs. In New York State, craft beer is a $4 billion industry. Craft breweries are helping to revive local economies. It's not just the breweries that craft beer is helping, but also local farmers, as the brewers use mostly local ingredients for their recipes.
And we've always talked about the connection between craft beer and real food. We work with farms and food producers that have real food and deliver it to consumers, and that's basically what craft beer is.
Craft beer is extremely different than standard industrialized beers. John Erlob is the founder of Rohrbach Brewing. He is known in upstate New York as the godfather of craft beer. Erlob says even if a person is not a fan of beer in general, they may be able to find a craft beer that they absolutely love. The key is the willingness to try something new.
Let's say they tried domestic beers, it just isn't something they like. Well, you'd be surprised. Maybe they'd try a porter, which you think, wow, that's really roasted, it's heavy, it's darker. But they say, wow, that's some flavors that I really enjoy. So I don't know that you can necessarily pigeonhole them. They just have to be open-minded. You know, come in. The nice thing now is there's so many craft breweries out, and you can get the small samples. It's not like you have to buy a whole pint or you have to go to the store and buy a 4-pack. Just come into a craft brewery, try a variety of different beers, and see what you think.
Garrett Oliver is one of the first successful and one of the most well-known African-American brewers in craft beer. Born in Hollis, Queens, New York, Oliver has been making beer for decades and has worked as the brewmaster for Brooklyn Brewery since 1994. Oliver says many people put craft beer in the same category of wines because they pair so well with foods. He says that his love for wine and mixed drinks play a big role in how he approaches making beer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my interest in wine and my interest in cocktails and in food, they all inform what I do with the beer. Whether it's bringing out beers based on cocktails or it's beer-wine hybrids, and things like that we do, all of it is of a piece.
Oliver says the best way to market craft beer to every person from every gender and every background is very simple. Just make it taste good.
People are not different. They have different things that they get exposed to, and it's a matter of how you talk to them. Do you talk down to them? Or do you talk to them and say, well, you never had something like this. This beer is sour. It tastes more like a margarita than a beer that you're used to. However, it tastes great. It has flavors of pineapples and limes. It works really well with this fish sandwich, and this is what makes it interesting. And everybody's down. Everybody's down.
There is a problem in the craft beer industry. According to the Brewers Association-run website craftbeer.com, only about 7.5% of brewers are women. The number of female staff jumps to 37% for women in non-production or non-service roles like sales and marketing. Although men still dominate the field of brewing in the craft beer industry, many more women are enjoying craft beer in general. Diana Sloan, the co-owner of Roundabout Brewery in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, explains how she got involved with craft beer.
Well, actually, I worked at a brewery in St. Louis way back in 2003, and that's where I met my current husband, and we opened up Roundabout together. So it was one of those, he's a brewer, I'm the front of the house person, and I've always been a big fan of craft beer since '96 when I turned 21. So we have a great chapter of Pink Boot Society here in Pittsburgh, and we have female brewers and a lot of female owners as well. We have a lot of meetings where we can do educational sessions together, a lot of tasting of bad beer, so we get to do a lot of flavor tests and things like that, so that we know the flaws in beer, which is great. But yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities for us here. We have a lot of fundraisers coming up for us as well. We like to provide scholarships for women in the industry, and it's just a great group of lovely people. Yeah.
Now here is a surprising stat. Craft beer has surpassed wine as the most popular beverage by women within the 21 to 34 age group in the United States of America. Additionally, roughly 37% of all craft beer drinkers are now women. And although it is true that there is a rise in female participation in the craft beer world, women still do face obstacles. One of the biggest ones is to be taken seriously. One study shows that women are still commonly dismissed as not real beer drinkers through men's use of gatekeeping, which includes challenging women's knowledge and recommending stereotypical gendered beers. That same study shows that gender differences in craft beer consumption and participation do not result from biological differences between men and women, but are socially constructed through interactions that exclude certain beer drinkers. So yes, women still do have a tough time when it comes to be seen as equals of men in the craft beer community. Still, it seems that African Americans have a much bigger problem. Although there is no fully agreed upon definition of a typical craft beer drinker, previous studies have suggested that the majority of U.S. craft beer drinkers tend to be white. They range from ages 21 to 44, and they have a minimum annual income of $50,000 a year. The number of minority craft beer drinkers did see a spike in 2018, but the percentage of minority craft beer drinkers did not change. This is because between 2015 and 2018, whites still contributed to most of the growth in total population of craft beer drinkers. 81% of all new drinkers were white. The lack of diversity is openly acknowledged by the Brewers Association, who admit it's a rather difficult topic to navigate, both factually and emotionally, and that more action should be taken to attract a more diverse group of consumers, community employees, and entrepreneurs. Garrett Oliver is aware of the problem, and as one of the first and few African American craft brewers, it's something that he's noticed for a while.
I think that, traditionally, as you know, this is a multi-layered thing. And the fact of the matter is that no matter how you want to look at it, no matter how you want to ascribe blame, this is a segregated country. We live in a segregated country. When you go to other countries, say you go to England, you might normally see 3 Indian guys, 5 black guys, and 3 white guys all together in a pub. Like, I'll tell you right now, you never, ever, ever, ever see that in New York. That's the actual world, the normal world. We don't live in the normal world. We live, in the American world, which is, race is still the everyday background radiation of every single thing that happens.
Oliver says even he is guilty into falling into some of the stereotypes in the craft beer world.
The fact of the matter is that there's guilt to go around everywhere. I was talking about in the podcast, it's like the way if I saw an 82-year-old woman show up at my tasting, I'd look at her and be like, well, you're not really a craft beer fan, are you? Right? I want to say that I'm woke, right? I'm woke, but I'm looking at her, she's got a blue rinse, and I'm like, what are you doing here? I'm going to be serving lambic, I'm going to be serving smoked beer, I'm going to be serving Imperial Stout. I don't think you could handle it. And when people do that, and I did it, what that is your own ego telling you that you're special and they're not. And the fact of the matter is, it's never actually true. It's never actually true.
An incident in the craft beer community proved the fact that there still is a way to go. A Grand Rapids, Michigan brewing company, Founders, settled a racial discrimination lawsuit out of court for an undisclosed amount in October 2019. Tracy Evans, an African American employed at the brewery, claimed in his 2018 lawsuit that he was subjected to a racist work environment during his 4 years of employment at Founders. The general manager of Founders' response to this suit drew even more negative attention to the brewery. In a deposition regarding Evans' claims, Founders general manager Dominic Ryan said he could not definitively say whether Evans is black. In an interview, when Ryan was asked about Evans' race, he said, "I don't know Tracy's lineage, so I can't speculate on whether he's from Africa or not." When the interviewer continued to question Ryan and asked if he knew whether Michael Jordan and former President Barack Obama are black, he responded that he had never met them. The industry has acknowledged the problem and is making strides to do better. Rohrbach Brewery is in the city of Rochester and has its festival, the Flower City Brewers Fest, in the location of the public market. Urlaub also employs people from many different backgrounds, including women and minorities. Urlaub says he really wants to make his brewery open to everyone.
We really are lucky to attract a very diverse group, and they add so much to who we are. It's just who Rohrbach's is. But I can tell you, too, from a customer standpoint, it's very diverse, too. It's a great... The industry is just great. I think beer is very social and it brings people together. We've always, all of the managers and everybody here at Rohrbach, and we have a very flat organization. We all chip in and do whatever needs to be done, but we're very, very open, and we love when we have the opportunity. I believe we had one of the, I'm quite certain, the first full-time female brewers, and Nikki's still with us, and she is such a superstar within our team. But it's having that opportunity and being open to say, you know, anybody can do this job if they have a passion for it. And that's what we really look for. If you're passionate, it doesn't matter who you are, what you came, or even really your background. You don't have to have formal brewing school. We can teach you as long as you have the passion for making great craft beer. And we've been very blessed.
One of the best ways to create an interest in craft beer in the African American community is through marketing. Aubrey Perry, the owner and developer of the craft beer mobile app known as Crackem, says using the hip-hop industry to get the message out may help pique interest.
Breweries have to find, unique ways to reach out to the different demographics that they're trying to reach. But I think the education, the marketing, especially in the hip-hop culture, you do see in Atlanta, the Nappy Roots have opened a brewery up in Atlanta, Atlantucky Brewing, that just recently opened up there, and that's a fusion of the two. And Atlanta is actually, they also have Hipping Hops Brewery that has a couple of locations in Atlanta right now that are fusing hip hop and beer. So I think you will start to see more of that happening now. Hopefully we can get it to happen a little bit faster.
Garrett Oliver believes the same thing. He believes those who have been marketing craft beer haven't been focusing on how to market to African Americans.
I thought if I'm on Emerald Live in the 90s, if I'm on the front page, or medium inside pages of the Daily News, if I'm on TV all the time, I'm on, Iron Chef America, whatever else, I'm feeling like, well, people see me. That might not be true. It's like, maybe African Americans weren't watching Emerald Live. Maybe they weren't reading that particular paper, whatever else. And part of my being here is like, okay, meet people where they actually are and where they're comfortable, and bring them the good news, if you like. It's like brothers and sisters, you have been lied to, your whole life. And this world has been pulled down around you, which is false. And I might have gotten that information earlier, but that doesn't mean that you can't get it today and use it tomorrow.
The theory is that African Americans would be more involved in the craft beer community if they were just made aware of what it is and how it's different from standard industrialized beer. We decided to test this theory with a taste test. Gilbert and LaToya are an African American couple who have never tried craft beer before and don't really know the difference between craft beers and standard industrial beers. We set up a taste test for them. They will try 4 different beers, 3 of which will be craft beers. One of the craft beers will be a very light flavor profile, similar to standard industrial beers. The non-craft beer will be a Miller Lite, which is widely available. The flavor profile of Miller Lite is the standard flavor of all domestic industrial beers. First up is Beer A, which is from Swiftwater Brewing. It's a fruited sour ale mixed with blackberries and blackcurrant.
Tastes like a berry, and I'm trying to think of that. Like seltzer water, like seltzer and a berry.
Yeah. It's almost like a bitter berry type. Okay. That's the flavor of it.
It's pretty good.
Next, Beer B, the Miller Lite.
It's not a light, is it?
It's,
he not even.
it's definitely a lighter taste when it comes from the previous beer.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm not picking up any fruits or anything. Yeah, this one is totally different.
It almost kind of.
It almost doesn't taste like beer.
Like a Budweiser, but I'm looking at the color. Is a Budweiser that color? No.
Oh, that's.
No.
This is quite light though.
On to Beer C, a light sour beer from Funkworks Brewing in Colorado with a hint of pineapple and guava.
This is good too, but I can't pick up that flavor.
It has a nice flavor to it.
I know it's not pomegranate.
Just can't. It has a nice flavor to it. I just can't pick up exactly what it is, but it's something that I would definitely drink.
And finally, on to Beer D, aptly named Liquid Lollipop from Froth Brewing in Buffalo, New York. A flavorful fruited sour blended with strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, blackberry, fluff, and coconut.
I'm not sure.
Some type of a fruit. It's almost like some type of a fruit and berry mixture.
It tastes like little coconut and smell like chocolate or something.
Malibu rum or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm.
Excuse me.
I'm trying to conjure up my years of drinking, throughout.
Malibu rum.
To me, it's some type of flavor like that.
First, I asked the couple which beer they liked the least.
I know the one that I liked the least was B.
I think I like the C the least.
You like the C the least?
Yeah.
And their favorites? Gilbert chose Beer A.
I like that flavor. I really do. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, that tasted. I actually liked it.
And LaToya loved Beer D, the Liquid Lollipop.
This is a real beer?
That's a real beer. I got another can that's sitting right there.
Liquid Lollipop.
Fruits and coconut.
Wow. This is what I call a teachable moment. And I've just been taught. I'll be honest with you. I mean, going forward, I will purchase craft beer. Not only does it taste good and everything, but I think more hindsight is the simple fact that you've given me the knowledge of the difference from the craft and your regular beer, which from the beginning I said I didn't know. Now that makes sense because we always, she loves her organic, and just seeing if this was grown locally, if this is something, I believe in supporting the community. So honestly, going forward, that's definitely going to be on my list. Researching, your craft beer, anything that's upstate New York or just New York in general, but the closer the better. Absolutely. So that's definitely put me on a different path.
So many ingredients go into making craft beer. You need just the right number of hops, mead, yeast, malt, and other key items to make the perfect tasting beer. African American involvement is one of the key ingredients missing in the craft beer industry. And now that the industry is aware of the problem, let's hope diversity is a mainstay ingredient and not just a fad that goes away.
So good. Yes, sir. 22nd letter. RBKS. The rest just.